In this video, we are going to open our Revit program and we are going to set up our templates and we are going to address the Revit which templates we need to work with and how we can find our templates if by any mistake it didn't download or we need to address it to the Revit. And after that we are moving to work with our interface and we are going to set up our basic information for the project. So for opening a new project, after you start your Autodesk Revit, you need to go choose the create new project, and after that in templates file you are going to have different type of templates such as default metric, structure, construction, and a specific country in your list. Mostly we are going to use default metric. So by choosing a default metric and click OK, we are going to open our Revit. After we are opening our Revit, we are going to see where is the template located and how we can address the Revit to find our templates or how to download and manage our file location. So for doing this process, we need to go to the file, click on option, and after that we will see file location. By choosing the file location, we are going to have this window. So the one which we are going to work right now is here, default path for family templates file. When you are downloading and installing your Autodesk Revit, automatically the software will give you the default address for your moving the software files, and this address is in drive C, program data, and here Autodesk. After that you need to look for RVT 2021 or any version which you have. And after that, by choosing this folder, you will see you are going to have different files, for example the template, which we need to click and say open. So by choosing this direction in your default path for family template, you are going to address the Revit to find your templates from here. By any mistake, if you didn't download the family templates folder, there is a website originally from Autodesk. You will go there, you will choose your version, and after that you can just download, install, and move it to this address. So you need to, when you are installing each of those folders, you need to give this address to that installation process. But then everything will be alright. The next thing which we are going to look is this window. This window is also important because, as you see, it's included the different templates which we are going to have access. For example, default metric Canada, construction default, structure analysis, and default metric. We can manage it by adding and removing. For adding a template, we are just going to click on add value, and after that it's going to address this location which we choose. By clicking on English, we are going to see these family templates. English, because I download the English family template, it depends which language you are going to choose, and it's going to be changeable by that. After opening this folder, you are going to see different types of template which we are usually using a default metric. By choosing a default metric and open, you are going to add it to your list, and if you don't need any of them, by clicking on that you can just remove. So this window is the first window which you are going to open, and you want to create a new project. You will see this list of templates, and as your wish, if you are going to add the value by clicking add value and list your default for example template here, they will be available for you as an option when you are going to start your project. Later on, we are going to create our own templates which we are going to set up every setting in our project as a default. But right now we are going to use default metric. The next column which is very important is here. This column is about the library. The library, for example, for your objects, family templates, and annotation, and so on. For example, as a default, Revit going to offer you a library which has a limited options such as some windows, doors, annotation, columns, and so on. But it's about our, for example, choice. We can go to the different website, we can download the beam objects such as, for example, furniture, annotation, and structural elements, and so on. After we are downloading our beam family, then we are going to put it in one folder. We list it very carefully, and after that we can address the Revit to find that folder specifically from insert file. Then we don't need to every time go and choose that specific folder from our system, because we are addressing the Revit. Go to this specific folder, we want to use our own library. By adding a library, we need to go to place, and after here this window will be open. So you can one by one add your library, but the most important one is the first library, because after you are going to import anything from different category, the first library will be readable and Revit is going to directly to that folder. How we can add library? By going to add value, and after that clicking here, we can go add our library. As a default, you are going to have a library such as for example, my default is here RVT. For example, you are going to have RVT 2021, for example, RVT 2070, and after that you will see your libraries, and you can find these libraries in RVT, the version name, in the address which you add your project template. For example, I want to use my own default library, or I prefer to put my default library and my own library in the same folder. So whenever I want to use the default library, just by changing one folder, I can choose the default or I can choose my own library. Let's try, for example, to address my library and my default library. So here, as a default, we are going to have our library, my own library, which I'm going to click on here, and after that I will go to my folder, and here in my Revit folder I'm going to have for example, Revit complete family, which I download some objects for myself, RVT 2017, which I'm using the old version library, or RVT 2021, which you can also have this version, or you can for example use any kind of version as your wish. So for now I'm just going to choose my own library and click open. So new library is created, and the library name, you can change the name as your wish, and the library path is the location which we already choose. So whenever we are going to upload any family or any object, Revit automatically going to choose it from this path, unless you want to, for example, have access to different libraries, which you are going to again add value, choose the different library. For example, I'm going to add one of my default library, this one 2021. I'm going to just click here, library, and open. So my second option is this, but the Revit is not going to give you offer, it's not going to offer you, for example, whenever you want to insert any kind of objects, it's not going to offer you which library would you like to go first. As a default, it's going to offer you your first library. If you were, for example, you add your second library and you want it will be default, by clicking on move row up, it's coming up. But for example, whenever I want to use my second library, since I upload both of them in my Z driver Revit folder, it can be easy for me to move between these two folders. By clicking OK, you are going to address your Revit to choose your family libraries. And after that, we click OK. So right now we know how to set up our templates, how we can manage our templates folder and path, and how we can add our library. The next step is our user interface. As a default, user interface is look like this. When you are downloading Revit, as a default, your user face will be like this. Two panel is very important in Revit. The first one is properties panel. The second one is project browser. And you can, for example, relocate these two panels as your wish. For example, for myself, I usually put my project browser in the right and my properties is located in the left, so I can manage it much more better, because later on if you're working on a big for example working with a big project, you are going to have so many folders, so many names, so you need to sometimes see them moving among them. This is a very good option. And sometimes you are choosing, for example, one specific object, it has so many setting, so it's much more better to have much more space to work. By any chance or mistake, if you delete your properties panel or project browser or any panel which you need in your Revit program, you can go to the View tab here, and after that you can go to User Interface. By clicking on User Interface, you can see the list of your toolbars. We are going to mark properties and we are going to mark project browser. Revit is very smart. It's not going to replace it again as a default location. It's going to replace it as your previous location.